The late 60s. The music was mostly rotten and the clothes were appalling, but not in every area was taste forgotten entirely. Think of the supercars, and I'm talking about the grace of the Ferraris and the lean splendour of the GT40s. Gorgeous things, you must recall what I'm talking about, and that's why we're here today, to look at the cars that come from a small company called Foreman. They record the sports cars of that era, the late 60s, and they are gorgeous. Make no bones about it, there is something overtly erotic about the curves in these cars. When the originals were penned back in the late 60s, I think somebody knew what they were doing, and I think it was about more than purely aerodynamics. Have you ever lain on a hot beach on a summer holiday and looked across and just seen, you know, curves and forms lying next to you? Look at this. Does that not ring any bells? Slightly familiar shapes in there. And the good thing, of course, is that these are hand-built cars. You can personalise them to your own requirements. There are 4 here today. Some of them explore the idea of ultimate road car, and others, like this, go for authenticity, and I really mean to an obsessive degree. The owner of this car has moved the spare wheel, so it's hanging here out over the tail, where it would originally have been. He's reversed the way in which this cover over the rear of the engine of the car, it would have lifted this way when it came from the factory here with the body kit, but no, he wants to be authentic. It goes this way. He's also lowered the actual roofline. The profile of the car now replicates faithfully the cars of the era. And he's even gone to the ultimate lengths, which is on this body, to actually fit the rivets that replicate what you would have seen in the 60s, all in the name of authenticity. And the man responsible for all of that minute detail and work is Eddie. It's your car.
That's right.
It's one of the first.
Correct.
Foreman, so it's what, 5 years old?
5.5 years old now, yes.
Immaculate condition.
Thank you very much.
Looks gorgeous. Mind, I'd look after it if it was mine. You've gone for absolute authenticity rather than going down the route of, say, ultimate road car. So why that particular route for you?
Well, it's not just authenticity. I also wanted to be an ultimate road car. I wanted to be able to drive down to the south of France, which I've done a couple of times. I've been down to Nürburgring to watch the Old Timers Grand Prix and various other rallies we take part in. And I wanted to be safe. I wanted to be quick. I wanted to be enjoyable to sit in for long distances.
But to look so authentic. I know you did a massive amount of research. You didn't just guess. You've taken photos of cars at the time, the whole lot.
That's right.
And a massive amount of work. Why this kind of car, though? What does it say to you?
Well, I suppose it shows my age a bit. I enjoyed watching motor racing. In my youth, I watched the motor racing of this type of car. And I do think that this P4 replica represents the ultimate in the big sports cars of the late 60s. Prior to aerodynamics taking over or dictating the shapes of the car. They thought if it looked right, it is right. And I think they had, I wish they'd go back to it.
Now look, I know you've done an amazing amount of work to keep this looking very much as if it stepped straight from the late 60s. But at the back there, the engine, of course, doesn't. That's a little more modern. Can we go and have a look at that?
Yeah, sure.
Right, let's go and have a look at this. So Eddie, what have we actually got underneath here?
We have a Renault 3-litre V6 engine.
Yeah.
Slightly modified, about 180 horsepower.
Why that engine?
One of the reasons we chose it was because it is a V6 and I wanted to sound similar to a V12.
Yeah, which it does.
Which it does. And I wanted an easy installation with respect to the gearbox. And this engine comes fitted in the Renault in this formation.
Yeah.
So subsequently that's dropped straight in.
It's nice and easy.
Yeah. It makes it easy from the kit building point of view.
And from that point of view, I mean, in your pedantic determination and stubbornness to be authentic, you've turned this round so that this is how it would have been on a car of the late 60s. It would have lifted this way, but the kit goes the other way.
That's right.
And I mean, I can't get in it.
Well, it's not practical, I must admit. The original way is most probably... Sorry, not the original way.
At all.
That's right. Yeah.
As a drive, what's it like?
It's lovely to drive. I mean, it's a compromise. We've done the suspension as a compromise between fast road and track. Yeah. And yes, we've been down to the south of France in it. Well,
you drive this a lot. We're not talking about toddling down to the shops or the odd Sunday drive, are we? We're talking long.
Yes, yeah, I do go down to the shops in it, on a Sunday generally.
Right. For some, it's authenticity. For others, it's just out-and-out performance. And when you look down the specification of a kit car, and in that list, the engine choices include things like Lamborghini, Ferrari, small block Chevy. You know you're starting to talk about some serious performance tackle here. And if you put that whole lot together in your Foreman and build the best you can, you end up with something like this. And this is a serious piece of road-going race car. It was built by Tony over here for a customer who wanted the best. I mean, the best. And boy, did he get it. Tony, this is the biz. What have we got here?
It certainly is. Well, it's probably the most powerful car ever built from the Foreman stable. I was commissioned by a London businessman to build this car, and the specification was to be suitable for very fast road use, for track use, and possibly for his sons to race at a later date.
And of course, for the racing side of it, I mean, you're no stranger to race cars at all, so he came to the right man, didn't he?
Absolutely, I like to think so. I mean, I've been involved with motor racing since I was a very young boy.
Yeah.
Did an apprenticeship with the checkered flag in Chiswick, and progressed to racing my own single-seater cars, and then on to sports and GT cars. And in 1995, I was driving for the BMR team, and I won the BRSCC Sports GT Championship, and then decided that I was getting on a bit, and it was time
So now
to...
you're building them. And at no
Yeah.
point has he done anything. I mean, this car's been driven, babied and gently, absolutely. At no point over 20 miles an hour. I've followed him in it, totally gentle. At the back of this thing is a serious engine. I mean, we're not talking small then.
It
What
certainly is.
actually have we got under here?
Well, part of the deal with the customer was for me to build a car which had a minimum of 350 horsepower. And would you like me to open it up?
Yeah, do it. Let's have a look. Let's have a look under here. Because this one will hinge the way that they would do on the kit, which does give you tremendous accessibility here. We can get the back opened up. This is monumental. This is serious.
What
Chevy.
it is basically, it's a real steel Chevy small block, 5.7 litre,
Yeah.
Edelbrock top end, Morosso bottom end, built by Real Steel in West Drayton, dynoed by them and running on the dyno, and the customer and ourselves and Neil Foreman went up to West Drayton, and they ran it, put it through its paces on the dyno, and we reached 350 horsepower even with their excessive silencing that they had.
Ah, nice. I have always, but always wanted to do this. And this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So, gentlemen, if you would start your engines, please. This should be thunder.